Okay, now let's continue question 8 here. After plotting the graph, right, this was a graph and you plot the graph, they say using the graph on page 26, determine the coordinates of the maximum point of f of x. The coordinates of the maximum point. What you're going to do is look at the highest point up here and see where it is. Now this point, the highest point, I would expect on the graph to be above 1, to be above when x equals 1, because this is where x equals 1, and beside f of x is equal to 4. So here it is above x is equal to 1 and beside f of x is equal to 4. So the coordinates, of course, in the form x comma y would be x equals 1, so that put 1 here, comma, and y is beside y equals 4, so y is 4, so I put 4 here. So the coordinates of the maximum point would be 1, 4. Let's see what else they said. The range of values for which f of x is greater than 0. For which f of x is greater than 0. Now f of x refers to the points on the curve. Greater than 0 means the values that are above 0, which is above the x-axis. Remember, for every point here on the x-axis, f of x is 0. For example, at this point, x is 4, f of x is 0. At this point, x is 2, f of x is 0, because it's right beside 0. At this point, x is 1, f of x is 0. Alright, you locate each point f of x to see which value on the y-axis or on the f of x axis the point is beside, and all these points are beside 0. Every point on the x-axis is beside where f of x is 0. So all of them are at f of x is equal to 0. Now above that would be where f of x is greater than 0. Below that would be where f of x is less than 0. Alright? So let's see what's happening here. You have this part of the curve going up like this. That is the value where f of x is greater than 0. Now what are the range of values of x? The corresponding values of x would be within this range. Alright? So they coincide with where f of x is greater than 0. So right along here horizontally would be the range of values of x. So that range of values of x goes from -1 all the way to 3. So the way you're going to write down the answer for that is, first of all, you can say x is less than or equal to -1, and at the same time, x is greater than or equal to -1. Can see that from -1 to the right mean x is greater than. At the same time, x is less than or equal to 3. So that is the answer. Remember, how to write the less than sign or the less than or equal to sign, the greater than sign or the greater than or equal to sign. It's like a bird's beak, and the bird open its mouth to the bigger food and turn its back to the smaller food. So the beak opens to x means x is greater than 1. Here the beak turns its back to x on this side, so x is less than 3. 3 is the bigger food here. Alright, so that's the answer for that section, the range of values of x. Let's see what else they ask for, or the range of values of f of x for f of x greater than 0. You would say that's part B. Part C says what is the gradient of f of x when x is 1. The gradient of f of x when x is equal to 1. Alright, so we're going to look at that. When x is equal to 1, that means right here, what's the gradient of f of x? So you're going to go upwards to see what happens at that above 1. Alright, this is the point of f of x you're going to concentrate on. Now since you're going to look at this point to find the gradient, what you will do is use your ruler, line it up with that point so that you can draw a line that touches the point. The line must not cut through the curve. Alright, it must be a straight line that does not cut through the curve. So in that case, you're going to have your ruler and you place it so that you can draw a line through that point. I'm looking for a ruler here. Do I have a ruler? What happened to my ruler? I don't see my ruler here. Alright, but what you will do, if this was my ruler, I will line it up and draw this line through it. Now this is a horizontal line and the gradient is the rise over run. If I should make the run, say from here to here, I would have a value. Let me make the run from -2 to 4. From -2 to 4. How many units does it run? Well, it would run 6 units. So if I should use my rise over run for the gradient, you would say my rise over my run would be, what's the run? 6 units for that example. What's the rise? You notice there's no rise, so it's 0. So it's 0 over 6, which is 0. In any case, you should know that the gradient of a horizontal line is 0. Alright? If they had asked you what is the gradient when x is 2, it would be right at this point. You would place your ruler so that you can draw not horizontal, a straight line to this point, and you take your rise from a right angle triangle rise over your run and use the values on the triangle on the graph to determine your rise over run. If they had said what is the gradient when x was 0, you do the same thing. When x is 0, you project upwards to the curve, and this is where you're going to draw your straight line. Your ruler should be lined up so that you draw a straight line through that point, it doesn't cut through the curve. Then you do your rise over run at this point, alright, and so on. But in any case, our gradient they ask us for is 0.